You've reached Monster 911, and I'm Lance Hightower. I've been taking cryptid emergency calls for over 5 years. If you have a cryptid emergency, please call our toll-free number, 866-306-8085. I can help you. What's your emergency? Hello, everybody. We've got another excellent interview for you here today on Monster 911. I'm Lance Hightower. As many of you know, I'm a bow hunter, and this is a great bow hunting story from Michigan. Now, as a bow hunter, I like bow hunting because you're kind of by yourself. You get to go out early in the season before rifle season starts, so you don't have to wear any hunter orange. You can go in complete camo, and not only will the animals not see you, but people won't see you either, and that's kind of part of it. Of course, there's a lot of things involved, wind direction and all that, but you have to be safe as well. But most bow hunters, you have to go deep into the woods, and typically to get a vantage point over your game, you will hunt out of trees, and there's various tree stands that you put up in the woods. But sometimes you can actually have a tandem or buddy hunt. So you can actually have a stand where they hunt above and below. So you're in the top stand or your buddy's below, and you're turned where one's looking up a trail, one's looking down a trail. Or you can have a hunt where you have a buddy in another tree close by. So they're up in their tree, you're up in your tree. So there's various ways, but I just love bow hunting because it's a different culture. And once a bow hunter, always a bow hunter. But what's really interesting here is that bow hunters typically that I find has the most encounters because of them going deep into the woods versus someone that hunts with a rifle. You can hunt from, with a rifle from a road. Typically you're not in trees. A lot of people can hunt on ridges, very open areas. Bow hunters, your shooting lanes is somewhere between 15 and 25 yards, whereas a rifle, you're probably at 100 to 500 plus yards. So bow hunters have to go in the dense trees in the forest. So this next interview, we have two men that are bow hunters. They're excited to go out opening deer archery season in Michigan. They had their deer stands up already, and they were going to do a tandem hunt in the same tree. They were very familiar with the lay of the land as they had been there many times before, but as they were more than halfway to their bow stands, while they were crossing a railroad track, this bow hunt took a different twist and would forever be imprinted in their minds as the bow hunt from hell. Listen in as to what they both encountered early that dark morning and what they did to survive that morning by something that did not want them there.
It happened in '89. So I'm 48 now. So let's do the math on that. That was right when I was graduating. I don't know, I was 18 or 19, somewhere in there. I mean, I'm not ashamed of it. I mean, where we come from up here in Michigan, I mean, we know these things exist. The first time I seen this one is the story I want to tell you about. That was the very first. And then I knew they were real. And I've seen maybe two after that in the last years after that. I mean, to this day.
Oh, wow.
Just glances. But this first one I want to tell you about, yeah, he or she or whatever, that thing was monstrous. It was big. I just want to appreciate you calling me back, because I really didn't think you were going to call me back. I thought you guys were, I checked your show out on YouTube, and I've been addicted to this stuff since then.
Right.
Since I've seen it. And, I watch, hear a lot of Dogman ones. Michigan's notorious for the dog.
Oh, yeah.
We have, songs and everything, especially where I seen this one, not the Dogman, but the Bigfoot is legendary for the Dogman.
That's right.
You go back down, 100 years there, you can see where I think there was a little girl that got kidnapped or something.
Yes.
By a Dogman. But anyway, Yeah, my story. Okay, it was me and my buddy Bug. It was opening day. It was October 1st of bow season. It's when our season opens here in Michigan. And we drove out. It was a kind of foggy in town. We're in London, but further up east it got, clearer and stuff. And then the moon was out. So we got to our spot and got out of the truck and everything. And we got our bows out of the back of his little pickup there, and we started walking to our tree stands where we had them put. And the spot where we had them is like in the front of this big swamp. I don't know if you guys might want to call them hollers or something.
Right.
But it's a big swamp. It drops down like 150 feet down.
Wow.
And it's right next to the PM River. And now, the PM River in Michigan is famous for its brown trout, steelhead, all kinds of fish. Very popular river. It fits right next to it. Anyways, we got our stuff out, and we started walking to the tree stand. And we got up to the rail. We got across these railroad tracks to get to the other side of the section of the woods where we're going, which is by the river. So we get up on top of the ridge there, and we got up on top of the railroad track because it's kind of built up. It's like, I don't know, I want to say about 6-7 feet up in the air off the main ground.
Mm-hmm.
It's built up by limestone and stuff. And we're just standing there for a second. My buddy, he dropped something. I can't remember what it was he dropped. Anyways, I stood there and waited for him for a second. And I'm looking around, and you could see plain as day. And I looked to the east, because we were going towards the south, towards the river, and I looked to the east, and I see something standing up on the railroad tracks. I'm going, what the hell was that? And it was kind of threw me off. I was like, got another hunter down there or something? And my buddy, he come up, he finally got to the top of the railroad tracks there, and he goes, what the hell is that? I said, I don't know. I think it's another hunter. So I shined my flashlight down there and stuff, and we couldn't see nothing, because he was a further distance away. I'm going to say it's probably 120 yards, 140 yards, maybe. So we're looking at this thing, and I tried to get my binoculars out, and all I could see is an outline of the head, the shoulders, the arms, and that was about it. What the hell? I thought, that thing's pretty damn tall. So I gave it to my buddy there, and I'm just going to use his name. I gave it to him, and he looked, he goes, that's a big dude. I said, yeah, I know. So I said, give me a second. So I walked down the other side of the railroad track, down onto the gravel, down into the cul-de-sac, and it did the same thing as what I did. It followed me down to the cul-de-sac. And he just stood there like I was standing, and my buddy was still up on the railroad tracks. Oh, what the hell? So I went back up onto the railroad tracks where my buddy was at, and it followed it, and went back up on the side of the railroad tracks just like I did. And I was like, what the hell is that? So we were looking, and then I grabbed the binoculars and I was looking, and it took like, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 steps. I think it was 5 steps it took. And it got a little bit closer, and I'm, what the hell is that? I couldn't figure out what it was. And I mean, this thing was big. And it was standing right next to the railroad track sign. And I know those are up good 8 feet. And his head was sticking over good 2 feet.
Oh, wow.
And then I looked at his shoulders, and I go, that thing is huge. He goes, I know. And I kept looking, I'm getting the head size alone. It kind of looked, not proportioned to it looked proportioned to its body, but it kind of looked bigger than what it should have been for its body. Like a 50-gallon drum, I'm just saying it's probably, his head was half, maybe 3/4 of a 50-gallon drum diameter.
Good night.
Big, man. I mean, it was just head and then body, shoulders. There was no neck, no nothing.
Wow.
So my buddy goes, what the hell? What is that? I go, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Just shut up for a minute. And I remember everything was quiet. You couldn't hear nothing. It was completely silent. And I mean, I just started getting these cold shivers. I go, we got to get the hell out of here. He goes, let's go to the truck. I said, no, we ain't going to the truck. I said, we ain't going to make it to the truck. I said, let's get to the tree stands because they're closer. Because they're only like 70 yards into the woods off the railroad track. I said, let's get to the tree stands. So we hauled ass to the tree. We just booked. Excuse my language.
No, that's fine. That's okay. You speak freely.
But we flew, man. I mean, my boots were already in the tree stand at that point. I mean, I was scared shitless. We got up in the tree stand. Our tree stand was about, 22 feet in the air. We had these old tree pegs and stuff up in this big, gnarly-looking oak tree. And we're sitting there, and we got up in the stands. All we have are recurve bows. We got these threadbare bows. And we're sitting there, and we're just shaking like skeletons. And when I started running down the hill, I noticed that when I looked to my left, it went down the cul-de-sac like we did. So we got up into our tree stand, and at that point, my stand is facing towards the east, where we call it the big swamp.
Okay.
And this is where this thing came down through there. We could hear it crashing down through that damn thing.
Oh, God.
Just making all kinds of holy hell through there. Just making ungodly noises. Then it got quiet. This was only like a minute after we got to our tree stand. It took maybe 4 minutes to get to our tree stand and up into the tree stand. And we're sitting there just shaking. And then we hear it coming down the other side of the swamp, down into the bottom of the swamp. It's a cedar swamp. We could hear it, just breaking shit, all just thrashing all down through there. And then it got all quiet all of a sudden. We're just sitting there shaking. We're not even talking. He dropped his bow. He hit the ground. I had my bow still in my hand.
Oh, man.
I was freaking out. And 20 seconds later, we hear this. We could hear it coming up the side of our hill where the swamp is. I was like, oh, shit. And it stopped again. And then about another 10 seconds later, and it was getting closer. And it had been at least at that point from where my tree stand was at in the top of that swamp, it had been 60 feet at least, maybe something like that, 55.
Okay.
So I know it was right on top. It had been there. And we could hear the damn thing breathing. Just, and we're just sitting there, just shaking. I going, oh, shut up. And then it took like 6 more steps. And it was getting closer to us. And at this point in time, I pissed myself. I mean, I've never had nothing scare me like this. I pissed myself. I damn near shit myself. I go, stay still. So two more steps, and then it stopped. And then it made this kind of noise, like grunt noise. Then we heard something else crashing down in the big swamp.
Oh, something else?
Yeah, something else was crashing down through there.
Oh, my gosh.
And then all of a sudden, this thing turned around. I mean, it was pitch black out. I couldn't see nothing at the time because I had my flashlight off, everything off.
I was going to ask, what time of the day was this when this was all...
This was like, I'm going to say about 6:45 in the morning.
6:45, October 1st.
Yep. And this thing goes crashing from where it was standing by us, crashing back down that damn swamp. And then we hear all this kind of other ruckus again. And then we hear this big splash, which I'm assuming something jumped into the river because the river was right next to us. I mean, it was a big splash. And then it got all quiet again. And then daylight started coming up. And then you could start hearing the birds again, and that was it.
Man.
But it scared the shit out of me, man.
I'm sure it did. I mean, you can't see anything. Your buddy's dropped his bow. Now, was your stand and his stand, were you doing like a tandem stand, like a ladder stand, or how did...
Yeah, we were in the same tree. We had two hanging stands in the same tree.
Okay. And how did you climb up in it, you said? Do you have those ladder sticks? Or
we had a tree peg that you screw in.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yes. Well, see, back in the day, you could do that around here, but now you can't.
Yeah, there's some places won't allow you to do that.
You can't do that on public or state land.
Yeah.
Everything's got to be strapped on or something.
Yeah, they do that here too. So you guys were bailing. You knew where the stand was. Thank God you knew exactly where the stand was at.
Well, I mean, I've hunted that all my life there. I mean, I know that spot like the back of my hand.
Okay. Because sometimes in the dark,
like
it's
I said,
hard to
it wasn't
find.
too far off the railroad tracks where we had to run to get to the tree stand.
So when you saw this up on that railroad track, how did you just kind of see like a silhouette or just kind of an outline barely?
Oh no, I could see his whole body. I mean, when he took the first time I seen it, I could see the outline of him. I knew it was tall. And he was standing in front of the railroad track sign, and it covered the railroad track sign. So I know it was big. That's when I look at it through my binoculars.
Okay. Which helped because the binoculars can gather some light and you can see it a little bit better.
Right. And the width of the shoulders, I'm 325, man. I'm a big boy. I wear a 4X coat. This thing dwarfed me. 4x8 sheet, all that, easy.
Really?
All that, easy.
So you're saying at least 4 feet, if not more, wide, 4 feet wide, and at least 8 feet, if not taller, on height.
Oh, he was 9 easy.
Wow.
Pushing 10, probably. I don't know. I'd have to go out there and take pictures of that sign and measure it when there's no snow on the ground, and then I could give you probably a pretty close, accurate what I think he was. I know he was all of 8, easy. No problem.
Man. So when you were standing up on that bed, that railroad track, and your buddy bent down and you were looking and you saw this thing, could you tell at that time that it was looking at you, or you just kind of made out the body and that was it?
Oh, he was definitely looking at us. I mean, which was kind of funny because I looked down the tracks when we were going up the side of it, getting to the top of the railroad tracks, and I didn't see nothing sitting, standing or sitting on the railroad track at the time. And then I got to the top of it, and I looked down at my buddy, because he was dinking around. And then I looked down to the east, And then this is when I seen this thing just standing there.
Man.
It rushed me out, man.
And you said it was about 100 to 120 yards or so? Is that what you said?
I'd say he was about 100 yards from us. And then he took like 4 steps, and his strides were probably easy 6 feet. Easy. So you're looking maybe what? You went another 26 feet towards us? I don't know. He was big, man. That's all I know.
Man.
He got close enough to where when he came again, I could see his hair on his arms, on the neck part where his head went to the shoulders. I could see that. And then down towards his buttocks and down by his legs, by his calves. And that's about all I could see. And I shined the flashlight down there again. I couldn't see no eye shine. I didn't see nothing glowing or nothing like that.
Wow.
And there wasn't no damn bear, because we don't have bear up here. I mean, we have black bear, but sorry, but that wasn't a bear. I know bear, what they look like in the woods.
Man.
All I know, it was big. It made me a believer that day. You know, I heard stories about it when I was a little kid and everything, and seen the Boggy Creek movie and stuff and all that. And no, after that day, yeah, I know they're real. And it's kind of weird, too, because I've been obsessed with it now. I mean, I don't go out looking for them. I don't want to run into that thing again.
Right.
Hell with that.
Well, that's what happens. That's what happens is that when you have an encounter like this, it's no different than what happened to my brother, Lane. And I can only say that what I experienced, I didn't have anything chase me. It was just a feeling, and I saw a silhouette of something in the trees that I could see an outline, but I don't know if it advanced to me. And then the next night I was in bed and I heard something outside my window, and I wasn't there. You know, I was a little kid, and I had just got through seeing that Legend of Boggy Creek movie, which scared me for months. And I heard something outside my bedroom window growling, and I didn't want to look. I did not want to look. At 10 years old, I wasn't going to do that. But my brother Lane had an experience in which he was chased, him and a buddy, and it went from, my brother said, these things, I mean, as you just said, he said, these things are real. These things are real. And he was saying that with his friend right there looking at it. He goes, these Bigfoot are real things. And then after that, it was, they went through kind of a shock period, and then it became an obsession.
Well, ever since that day happened, my buddies never went into the woods by himself when it was dark out. He'd go during the day, never at night, in the morning. He'd always bail out an hour, 2 hours before sunset. I mean, he doesn't want to talk about it. He knows what we've seen. He just don't want to admit it.
Well, that's what happens typically, that you can have a group of people, as small as 2 people, that have the same experience. And what you find is that one wants to know more about it, what's going on, how long have these things been here, why did we see it, how long have they been in this area, all these questions. And then the other person doesn't want to talk about it. In fact, they get mad if you try to talk about it, because I think in many ways that is like a trigger. It brings that moment back up, and they don't want to fully consciously acknowledge that they saw something that it's frightening. It's too frightening to think about the reality that they exist, so they just don't talk about it.
Right.
And that's their way to...
I think that's what he does.
Yeah. Well, when you got up in this tree, or you climbed up in the tree, and you've got separate stands, hang-on stands?
Yep.
And so, are they at the same level, or was there one lower than another?
Yeah, they were side by side.
Okay.
One was on the other side, facing the north. Mine was facing the east, right towards the big swamp. That's what we call it, the big swamp.
The big swamp. Okay, so you're up about 22 feet off the ground, both of you.
22, 23 feet. Yep.
Okay, so that's up there pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good height.
Yeah, I like to go about 25 to 30 feet, somewhere in that. But that 22 is pretty good. I like to get up high above that scent line for deer. So he dropped his bow, you say, his recurve.
He dropped his bow because he was so scared. We got in our tree stands, he was hanging on to it, but he was shaking. I mean, you could literally hear it shaking, man. I mean, you could put like a can of nuts in a beer can and shit, and you could shake, and that's what we sounded like up in those tree stands.
Man.
We were scared.
Did you have any firearms on you or anything, or was it just
No. Nope.
Man.
At that time, I could carry a firearm. I mean, I can't carry a firearm no more because of dumb reasons. I don't want to bring that up, but...
Sure.
I mean, I still own my guns, but they're not with me anymore. But
Gotcha.
anyways, yeah.
Wow.
No, we didn't hit. All we had were recurve bows, man.
Man.
2 pig stickers, just too nice.
Right.
And he wanted to run back to the truck. I go, we ain't gonna make it to the truck, dude. I said, we got to go to those tree stands now.
Well, and this thing...
He wanted to run back to the truck, and I said, the hell with that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm with you. That was the best decision you guys could have made because there's no way you're going to outrun these things. I mean, not
Oh,
with...
hell no.
No, and you're going to end up either hurting yourself, getting to your truck, or separating. Something's going to happen. I mean, that's the thing that I'm wondering now about this situation is that this particular encounter, he wasn't too afraid of you guys, obviously.
Oh no, he just stood there. I mean, he didn't charge us or nothing. He just stood there and he watched us. And like I said, I walked down the side of the off when I got off the railroad tracks because it's kind of built up on big ass limestones. They built it up a little high, and I walked down it, and then he kind of followed me down, and I stood in the cul-de-sac there. And he was looking at me because he walked down. He took like a step and a half, and he was down in the cul-de-sac where I was standing, which took me like four or five. And then when I went back up, he came back up. He thought he was like mocking me.
Right. Kind of mimicking your, kind of doing what you're doing.
And I mean, we didn't yell at the thing or nothing because we're kind of, okay, this is weird, and it's big, so we didn't yell at it because we're not stupid. And I go, and that's like I said, we got to go. We got to haul ass now. Good tree stands, let's go. He goes, no, let's go to the truck. I said, tree stands, let's go. And I just started, like I said, my boots were already in the tree stand. I was gone.
So you just started running you ran off the railroad tracks in the direction of the tree stand at that point.
Right. And then I remember when I started off the railroad track, I looked to my left, which was facing the east, and I seen it go down the cul-de-sac like I was doing. And then we got to the tree stands because it was like railroad tracks, cul-de-sac, little open area, full of woods. And then between me and whatever that was, is a big ass swamp. It's a cedar swamp. That's what we call it. We call it the big swamp. It's all cedars in there. But what's making me wonder is when it got up towards us, because I know he came up the hill. I know that. I know he was at the edge of that swamp. If it was daylight, I could have seen him plain as day. Plain as day. I could have hit him with a frickin' Nerf gun.
Oh, wow. That was close.
And like I said, I mean, we could hear the damn thing breathing.
So when you could hear it breathing, was it your stand was facing east, you said?
Right. Which he would have been facing me. He would have been facing to the left.
But you didn't see anything. You said it was too dark.
Exactly.
Oh,
it was still dark at that time.
What a feeling. Jeez.
I mean, like the time we got off that railroad track, got to our stand, it was like a minute, maybe I'd say 2 minutes, if that. We were at that tree, man. We were humming. For two white boys, we were flying.
Man. So you guys, boom, boom, boom.
And I was scared shitless.
I'm sure you were. I don't even know how you got up with that recurve bow, but I guess you just do it. You don't even think about it.
I strapped it over my shoulder.
Oh, I got you. You just strung it. It was already strung. You just put it over your shoulder, and boom, 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 you climb right up.
It was completely strung. I just put it around.
I gotcha.
That's how I usually used to carry it.
Okay.
My mom's Native American. And that's how I usually carried my bow.
Man alive. So
Scared the hell out of me, though, man.
I'm sure. So you heard something else in the trees. You heard this one coming at you, stepping, boom, boom. And then you heard it breathing, and then you heard something else somewhere else, you said.
Yeah, we heard it down towards the... Okay, let's say he's facing me, he's east, I'm facing him. Or he's facing to the west, I'm facing to the east. He's looking at me, I'm looking at him. I can't see him, of course.
Right.
But this would have been to the south, and that's where the river was at.
That you heard something else.
Something was down there making holy hell.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't sound like what we heard before the first time. And then all of a sudden, we just hear the breathing in the morning, and all of a sudden we go, down, it was going down the hill, and I mean, this thing wasn't walking, it was, moving.
The track sounded heavy.
For election.
Did the track sound...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can hear it smashing through the damn cedars and shit. Sound like a damn rhinoceros running down through there. And then we heard all this other commotion. Weird, I don't know. I can't even explain it, man.
That there might have obviously been another one down there, or another creature. I mean,
I'm thinking maybe a dog, man.
Well, you can't rule that out. You can't rule it out.
I mean, I've never, honestly, say I've never seen a dog, man. But, I don't know, it was a couple years after that, I got jumped by a bunch of feral dogs, and so did my brother one time. We were out squirrel hunting, and that was just in September, right before October. Our season opens September 15th. I think it was like, I don't know, 26 or something. But I got jumped by 7 dogs. I shot 5 of those little bastards. And I was in there skinning a squirrel. I shot this big fox squirrel, and I turned around and I heard a bunch of growlings. Like, what the hell? And they had old Smith & Wesson 12 gauge. I could hold 8 rounds in it, man. I rock and rolled. I wasn't messing.
That's something we talk about all the time. It baffles me, these guys that go out just with a camera and no firepower, and they don't have anything but a camera sometimes and a walking stick. And I keep telling people about these feral dogs that are out there, and they will accumulate in packs. And if you get caught in a pack, what they're going to find is your camera and your demise if you don't start packing some heat out there.
Exactly. I mean, like now, I can't carry guns, but I carry my bows. I carry my hatchets. I carry anything I can, use as a weapon.
Right. So
I'm pretty good with my hatchets.
Well, at least you've got something other than a bow. You've got, not to say a bow can't be deadly, but you've got some type of metal. You've got either a fixed blade knife, you got a hatchet. That beats having nothing. And the problem with bow hunters sometimes is that the nature. I love bow hunting. That's my favorite type of hunting is bow hunting. But the bow hunters have to go deep in the trees. You can't road hunt, and
nope.
You're typically solo. I've comboed hunt with my brothers before and my dad, and I love that type of hunting too. Where they're either right across from a tree from me, they're looking one way, they're looking east, or I'm looking west, and or we're facing each other, and then we just kind of, agree who's going to shoot first or whatever.
Right.
Typically, bow hunters get in those trees, and I think bow hunters personally see and have more encounters than anyone just because they go into the timber. They have to go, if you want to get a big boy, you have to go back there, a big buck. You got to go back in the deepest, thickest part of the woods, typically, and you got to get off the trails. And you see and hear a lot of things as a bow hunter.
Yes, you do. Honestly believe that. I bet you see more as a bow hunter than you do a rifle hunter.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think there's more. I can't prove this, but I have heard and read where there are more bow hunters that become missing than any other kind of hunter. So I don't know.
Listen 411.
Yes, I don't know if that's.
Yeah, my wife, she's scared as shit about that. We listen to David.
Polites.
She gets all worried. Now she's going to buy me one compact time. She's going to buy me a locator and everything. I said, well, that's which is fine, which is good.
Yeah. One of the things.
I mean, I just look at it. If it's my time, it's my time. That's the way it goes down.
Well,
but,
one of the things I'm thinking of, just as a bow hunter nowadays, and knowing what we know now, that there's more out there than just us and, the indigenous wildlife. And even though you may take a cell phone, most everybody has a cell phone nowadays, but I think another thing people should, especially bow hunters, another thing that people should attach somewhere on their body, maybe and not on a shirt or a shoe, but somewhere else, like in a belt or an inside T-shirt, is have some type of a GPS marker where that they make them for pets. They make them for pets where you can put them on the collar of your pet, and then you can actually have an app that's free, and you can see where your pet is. Well, I think they make them for humans too, that you get this app and you can see anywhere on the planet where you're at. And I think aside from a cell phone, I think that's another thing that people should get. Especially I think they should get if you have kids that are going in these national parks and areas to play and near picnic areas. I absolutely think and believe they should get that and put that on their kid. Don't make them scared to death, but you need to say, hey, you guys need to stay right here in this area where I can see you, and put some type of a marker tag or something or necklace on those kids.
Right.
So tell me this. How long you guys stayed when you heard this breathing of a Bigfoot, obviously, and you couldn't see it, and it took
I know it was a Bigfoot.
And it was stepping toward you, and it was breathing heavy. And then something else kind of crashed down by this river, and this Bigfoot that was close to you guys ran, and was just breaking all kinds of brush. And how long did you guys stay in that tree before you got down? Say that again.
Trying to think.
Man, you're breaking up. I must be losing you. Oh, I lost him here. Let's see if we can get him back. I'm calling him back. We lost him.
Hey, there?
Yes.
Yeah, I lost you. I'm sorry about that.
No problem. No problem at all. I was asking how long you guys were up in that tree until you got down.
I'm going to say we didn't leave out of that stand for about, I don't know, it was about an hour and a half. Then it finally started getting light. Maybe it was an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes. There, I think it was.
Did you guys look around the stand for any prints or anything, or did you waste time? Didn't waste time?
No, we didn't see no prints. We didn't go down in the swamp, or we just got the hell out of there. You know what I mean?
Right.
to where we could actually see the run. Because from where our tree stand was, you could damn near see the railroad tracks. We were up so high, you can almost see the railroad tracks. And then just on the other side of the railroad tracks, there's like a two-track that runs along the railroad tracks, all the way east and south, or east and west. And I could almost see that. And then we got down, and then we booked past the truck, and then we got out of there.
Man.
Back and I got his bow. He left his bow there. He didn't even grab his bow when we left.
Oh, really? He just left it?
That's how scared shitless this kid was.
So,
I mean, I come from a military background, too. I mean, my dad and stuff, my brothers. But he just, I don't know, it was too much for him.
So when he got down, he didn't worry about getting it. You guys just left and got out of there.
Yeah, we jammed. We moved.
And this was back in 89, you said?
Yeah, it was 89.
Did you guys ever go back to get the bow?
Oh, I did. I went back about 3 days later. I still hunt the same spot.
Oh, you do? That's what I was going to ask next. So have you...
Oh, shit, I still hunt Walhalla. I hunt all over Walhalla. And like I was saying, I get that weird feeling once in a while when I'm in like a different section of Walhalla.
Right.
I get that weird vibe again, like, what the hell? Not this again. You just get that creepy feeling, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, no, something ain't right.
Like something's watching you or something is in the area.
Yeah. I mean, one time I was in a ground blind, because in my double bull blind, bull on again, and I was on more flatter ground there. That was right on Walhalla Road, and I had something coming through the woods. I couldn't tell what the hell it was. I thought it was a bear. It kind of sounded like a bear. At that point in time, it might have been a bear, but it didn't really sound like a bear, though, because it was making all these kind of weird noises. But I don't know. And I mean, we don't have pigs here.
Right.
So I really don't know. You got to speakerphone for a second.
Sure.
Yeah, I had to come back outside. That's why I lost the next. They went to the house. Yeah, so I don't know.
Does your buddy ever, does he ever hunt back in that area?
No. Nope. He's never been back there.
So you still go out there and then you go out by yourself?
Yep. Once in a while, my son, he'll go out with me. He doesn't hunt or nothing. He just goes out and sits with the old man,
Right.
He wants to come out there and spend time with his dad.
Sure.
So, because his mom, matter of fact, his mom lives down where you guys are at in Tulsa.
Oh, really?
Yep, and my daughter lives down there, too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
When this happened, did you immediately share with a family member or anybody?
Oh, I told my buddies, and, oh, you're full of shit.
Right.
Oh, you're full of it, man. You're just making shit up. I told my brother, and I told my dad. At that time, my mom was still alive. She believed me. My dad believed me. And the rest of my family pretty much believed me. So what I get out of it for, making some kind of shit up like that.
Or exactly.
And one of my oldest brothers, he knows. He didn't want to admit it, but he knows, because he hunts to this day too. It's hard for him to get in the woods now because he's diabetic and his legs are all blowed out. And he also got jumped by dogs too, so.
Oh, he did?
He knows. Yep.
Wow.
Same kind of scenario I had. He knows they're out there though.
Well,
I know they're real, man. I know they are.
Yeah.
I have no doubt about it.
Well, and that's the thing, that it's a different feeling to know that something else is out there besides you. And when that day happened, though, prior to that, what was your belief? You said something about you were interested, but you really didn't know prior to all this.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of wanted to believe. I go, this is like this Loch Ness monster, crap. But no, after that day, hell no, they're real. Ask your brother if he ever got that feeling where you get that chill down your spine, it goes right down to your buttocks and shoots down your legs. Man, they're there.
Yeah, his friend never wanted to talk about it.
They're not aged neither. They're not aged.
No,
I think they're more human than anything,
Yeah, that's our feeling too. Our feeling is that we call them creatures and monsters, but really, our premise is that they're an ancient type of being. They're a very primitive, archaic, ancient type of hominoid being. They have a very high degree of intelligence. They know how to move in the woods. They know how to navigate in dark, in light, and where we need camouflage and scents and all this, they don't need that. They
home. That's why.
Yeah, it's home to them. It's home.
Like us when we went over to Vietnam, we got our ass handed to us. We're in their background, you know what I mean?
Right.
We're in their backyard.
Yeah, they were ready. They knew that timber. They knew that jungle. They knew everything in there. That wasn't.
My brother did 2 terms over there, man. Some of the stories he told me, but it kind of goes. I've listened to so many of your programs. I've subscribed to you guys. I was almost ready to unsubscribe because you didn't call me back, but I said, he's probably got a lot of people he kind of don't go. So I waited. I'm honest. I was gonna, but
no, I
really appreciated you calling me back. I was really surprised you did.
Well, we try to. We don't do this full time. I would like to say that would be one of our goals, but we all have jobs and we all have families still. We're at that age. We enjoy it because one of the things that we do, we just don't want to put on scary stories. That's not what we're about. What we're about is we're trying to help people cope a little bit, and some of that coping is just sharing, and maybe giving some insight on why and how, and maybe some of the things it did. But sometimes people will go, I don't understand why it chased us. I don't understand why it did this or why it did that. But we can just give some plausible explanation. What happened is what happened, and what you saw is what you saw. But it can help everybody else, because one of the biggest things that happens, right now I'm going through some training. Being a healthcare provider, it's one of the things, there's very little known about fear and about how it plays an impact on our emotional well-being. And you can, PTSD, you've heard a lot, of course, in combat and war times, and for men and women.
My brother has that.
And there's triggers. For something to be PTSD, if you look in the Diagnostic and Standards Manual for these emotional traumas is what they are. There's a difference in anxiety trauma, stress trauma, and then a whole nother level, which is more advanced, is this PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And for that to be with a person, it has to be a combination of different psychological, psychosocial, emotional type of disorders for a period of a month or longer, where they have, it interrupts their sleep, their relationship, their interaction with people, It affects their ability to really integrate back in society. But nothing is really the combat issue is studied. We've had some time to study that, and a lot of our known of PTSD comes from that. But very, very little is known about the raw fear that is coming from these people that have seen these creatures, because that's a whole nother level of fright. In my personal opinion, it's a different fright than what someone's experiencing in life or death in combat. It's similar, but I'm going to say there's some aspects that's not similar, because now you're dealing, when combat, you know another human being is after you. And there's no question. It's either a group or it's all human beings. Whereas in this case, you know it's not a human being. It's something else that so you've got a questionable something that is, now is real, and it's coming at you or coming for you or it's circling you.
Right.
And that's, I think, a whole nother level of fear that very little literature has ever discussed. And so that's kind of what I'm delving into a little bit more. But for you to be so scared that you lost your bladder, that right there exhibits a very, for your bladder to go incontinent like that tells me right there a lot of fear was existing at that moment. That you, and if your buddy was shaking and everything, I mean, that tells me when you exhibit fear like that you lose your bladder, you were in shock.
Definitely.
So
I mean, I've never lost my bladder like that before. I mean, I've had some scary. I mean, I go up to Colorado and stuff, and I've seen grizzly bears 20 feet away from me, or 20 feet away from me, with their cubs, and when they growl, I mean, you can hear the riverbed shake. I mean, that's scary, but this, no. I mean, this thing didn't even say nothing. I mean, you couldn't hear nothing, because when I seen it, that's when I really started getting freaked out. And then when I heard it coming down through the big swamp, then it really kicked in.
Yeah, that's, man, I that sound.
I mean, I'm not shitting you, dude. This thing was. I'm trying to put it in my head now, because I don't have a tree stand in that tree no more. I'm gonna say it was from the edge of that swamp. I'm gonna say 25 yards, maybe. Let's see. My house is 30 feet. I'm looking at my house right now. No, it was about 60 feet, man. If that. And I could hear that damn thing breathing. Coming up the swamp.
It may, I mean, if it was coming in front of you, it may have been looking right at you. And you obviously, we don't have the night vision, but it may have been looking right at you and just kind of assessing you, like what, how.
I kind of had a ballpark estimate where it was, because I could hear it so good.
Right.
But I knew it was there. He was there. I was there. You know what I mean? He knew right where we were at. That was what kind of freaked me out. So they got to have a hell of a nose on them.
Oh, I think they do. You can imagine, with a head in circumference, like you said, with the size, half the size of a barrel. I mean, can you imagine the surface area?
I'd say it was about 3/4 of a barrel. 50-gallon drum. Big head.
Man. The surface area of the nasal cavity has to be huge. And when you have a larger surface area to smell, you can pick up all kinds of scents. I mean, that's why a dog has a huge nasal cavity. And predators...
How is that even possible, though, having a head that big?
Well...
I mean, that was my guesstimate. I can't say for true if that's what it was, but I'm looking at it. It was 3/4 of a drum. 50-gallon drum. when I looked through the binoculars. Freaking head was huge, man. Those railroad tracks, you measure those, he was all that in his shoulders. Like I said, he dwarfed me. Now oh shit. I'd have to measure my shoulder. I got some wide shoulders. I'm a big boy. Like I said, I'm a big dude.
Well, most guys...
He dwarfed me.
Well, big guys that are, say, 6'2", on average, to 6'4", maybe 6'5", that's got some big bone mass, like, say, a large bone mass, is probably, on average, at that height, is probably from shoulder, outer deltoid to outer deltoid, is probably going to have 2 3/4, maybe a 3 foot wide shoulder span. Maybe a 3 foot wide. 3 foot, if you just are broad shouldered kind of guy. That's probably average with large bone mass and at that height, say 6'4". But nothing, unless a person body builds and is just a massive human being, which there are a few on our planet, there's not much else that's going to be 4 foot wide or bigger.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't really tell. I've heard a lot of your people that talk on your show say he's a bodybuilder and look like Schwarzenegger. Well, I don't know all about that, but this thing was freaking huge, man. He didn't have to be a bodybuilder. The thing was just monstrous. It was huge. My buddy, he goes, let's run to the truck. He goes, let's go. I said, dude, we ain't going to make it. Yeah. We got to go to the tree stand now. If it was closer. I said, we ain't going to make it back to the truck if this thing chases us. We're done.
Well, that was smart, because if it was mimicking you at that point in time, it was going to follow you. You knew it. So to go back to, if it was, if you had a ways to go back to the truck, it was going to catch you before you got there, and who knows what it would have done.
There was no way in hell we would have made it to that truck.
No.
He would have been on her ass like, it was it. It was done.
Have you ever wondered that had there not been another something else crashing down by that river, what this thing would have done? I mean, because obviously it took its mind off of what it was, it kept coming closer to you guys.
Well, like I said, when he got up on top, I knew where he was. He was up out of the swamp finally. He was on the ridge there. He kind of made this, like, I know you're there. Snort. I can't explain that.
Right.
Oh, shit. What kind of animal would do that? Like a bison almost. Like,
Like,
I had bulls do that shit when I was when I was in the farming, doing all the farming stuff. Bull, he had an attitude or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He'd give you this, like, whatever. Kind of snort. That's what it kind of sounded like. But louder. A lot louder. Like, whatever. I know where you're at.
Right. Almost like a disgusted. Like, you can't get away from me.
Right.
Wow.
You're there. I know where you're at.
Wow.
I don't know. It was...
I'm sure glad that it decided to leave you guys. And, I mean, if it kept advancing to you guys, stepping, and you could hear it breathing and then stepping, and who knows? I mean, if it wouldn't have had its attention drawn somewhere else, what it would have done. How close would it have gotten? Would it try to climb the tree?
I have no idea. For what his height was, what I could see, you got another 5 feet stretching, you're at 15 feet. Yeah, he would have had to climb up about, 6, 7 feet to grab us.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have wanted to know.
That would have been bad. That would have been bad.
But like I said, I got it in my head like it's a tattoo on my body. I see the outline. I see the size of it. Anytime I wake up, I can see this, this thing, how big it was. And it was huge. Every day I wake up, and it's there.
Well, it obviously had.
Now, I'm not scared of it. I mean, yeah, you should have good reason to be scared of it, but I ain't gonna stop hunting and shit because of it.
Right.
Like I said, your time's up. Guess what? It's up.
Right. Well, what you can do is, just now you can now that you know that there's more than you out there, you can you can kind of plan. You can, if this happens, then this is what I'm going to do. If that happens, this is what I'm going to do. And you can have some backup or contingency plans. And
right. Well, I do that. I'm a bushcrafter.
Yeah.
So I got all that survival instinct in me. I mean, letting my wife know where I'm at every day when I go hunting and stuff. And like I said, come text time, she's going to get me one of those GPS locators and everything, which is good.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that's
I'm 48, so.
Well, that's the biggest thing is letting your family know, as a bow hunter where you're going. Because most of them, most people go out solo when it comes to bow hunting, and very few people tandem hunt. But well, I've done that before, and I've seen just as many deer tandem hunt as individual hunt. So, but you got to have your head on a swivel. That's the way I look at it anymore. You've got to be just a little bit more.
I'm like Mr. Owl out there now. I'm like the Blair Witch thing. I 360 all the time.
Yeah.
Always have been since that day.
I bet. Yeah, well, you'll never forget it. Obviously, it's a very traumatic.
No.
I mean,
The day I die, I'll never forget it. I mean, I just wish I could put what I seen in my eyes on video.
Oh yeah,
it scared the shit a lot of people.
Yeah, if you would have had it on a GoPro or something like that going, we wouldn't have been able to see much, but you could definitely hear. So where this occurred, would you say this is South Michigan, Central Michigan?
This is Northern Michigan.
Northern Michigan, okay. Where you go to go hunt, is it just a little ways outside of town?
Yeah, it's east. It's a half an hour, about 35 minutes, depending on the weather. 35, 40-minute drive. More appreciate you calling me back. Thank you for calling me back.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome. It's my pleasure, and I hope just sharing did help a little bit, and we didn't give much recommendation or anything like that, but these stories do help other people. They really do.
Right.
And
I understand that.
Every encounter is a little bit different, and how we can learn just a little bit more. But do you have any words of recommendation? Say you've got a bow hunter that's like, I don't know, I've never had an experience, I don't know if they're real or not, but what recommendation or words of wisdom would you impart someone that's a bow hunter?
Well, if you think you see something, tell somebody. You ain't got to be shy about it. I mean, I wasn't shy about it. Never was. If you feel scared, just don't go back there then. Go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like, what I mean, if you're intimidated, don't go back. I mean, it's their woods. They own it. Straight up. I mean, we're just in their backyards. It's something you're going to have to deal with. And just be safe. I mean, equip the best you can. Firearms, pistols, everything. Load up. And if it has to come down to that, what you got to do. Defend yourself. Unload. That's about it.
Well, those are good words. Those are good words of wisdom there for someone that experienced what you guys did, and it's just so hard to even imagine the amount of fear you guys had being in that tree, just hearing this thing coming up. That put the fear of God in anybody right there.
Well, like I said, when it came up that hill, it sounded like an old clinker Cadillac with a 460 in it. Yeah, it was enough. It let me know they're real. You know, like you say, you think they can see infrared. So, yeah, I mean, obviously they can see at night.
That is our feeling. That's our belief, yes.
They gotta see at night. They're like, oh.
Well, if you...
I bet that they can see us up in that tree just shaking like...
Oh. Well, if not only seeing, but I think there's a whole nother level that they can possibly feel your fear. Just like dogs can sense your fear, I think they can also sense... I think they can too. I really do. I think they can sense your fear.
I've trained a lot of pit bulls. I know that.
There you go.
They can detect fear.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're...
I think they can. I really do. I'm with you. You know, if we have domestic dogs, can you imagine something in the wild that can detect just an added sense for survival? I think they can. So not only could it see you, but it probably could detect that you guys were scared.
I was scared shitless.
Yeah, that's...
I thought he was almost going into a freaking coma. He would do nothing.
So were you guys, when this was happening and it was walking close to you and it was breathing, did you guys say anything to each other, or are you just dead quiet?
No, I kept listening. I go, shut the hell up. Quit breathing so hard. No, that's all. With this. I was shaking too. I tried not to, but I could.
Right.
It's just a lost control thing, you know what I mean?
Right.
When you're that shitless.
Well,
I stopped shaking, and then he can feel, and he's shaking. I go, what do you like? Then we'll run for the truck. And that's what we did.
Wow.
But after that, the damn thing took off again because the other thing was down there making all kinds of holy hell.
Man.
So I don't know. Like you said, you know, that might have been a dog man. Shit, I don't know.
Yeah, we can only...
Tons of spotters. Look it up in Michigan.
I really, really appreciate your time, and I appreciate it here on a Saturday, and thank you so much. And if you ever have, I hope you never do, of course, but if you ever have any odd incidents come up, you can call me anytime.
I will.
And if this phone number doesn't work, you can always get a hold of us on our email. That's usually on our shows as well. cryptidbrothersinvestigations@gmail.com.
Right.
So, and just sharing this story, it's incredible, frightening. I can't imagine the amount of fear you guys had, but I'm glad that you guys weren't hurt. And I'm also glad in many ways that you're still continuing to hunt, because just that's one way to get over it, is to go back doing, what you enjoy, what you love.
Right.
and that means a lot. But
I mean, I hunt and still fish that river, so
well,
that ain't gonna stop me.
Good.
Unless I get grabbed.
Well, that's part of getting over it. You somewhat, I should say. You won't forget it, but that's part of coping, I should say.
Right.
Is being able to continue doing what you want, and if you can kind of go down in the same area and still do that, then that's definitely takes a lot of courage to do that for sure.
All right.
All right, brother. Take care.
Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. You take care and have a great weekend.
I love your program, too, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for subscribing.
I'll be listening to it again tonight. I haven't caught up on the last couple.
Okay. Well, send me your email on this same number after we hang up, and I'll send you the links to more shows.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay. You take care of yourself. Thank you again, sir. I appreciate it.
Yep. You too. You guys be safe.
Okay. We shall.
All right. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.